My name is Claire de Souza, and we're at the MMA doing the Veterans Project. Today's date is April 14th, 2015. Can you state your name, sir?
TSGT White.
So we're going to talk about your military history. Were you drafted, or did you just enlist?
I enlisted. I enlisted straight out of high school.
Okay, and where were you at that time?
Where was I? I was in New York City. I lived in Greenlawn, New York, and I was just trying to decide on what to do, go to college or go in the military, and I chose to go in the military.
Which military branch did you choose to go in then?
I joined the Marine Corps first. I spent 12 years, 6 months in the Marine Corps.
What was boot camp like for you?
Wow. It was different than it is now. It was hard. It was, you had to have a self-sustaining drive to make it. Wasn't used to being up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going all day. Having somebody tell me what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. So it was tough. When I joined at that time, you had to, in order to survive, you had to have a buddy. So I went on a buddy program. So one of my classmates joined me.
Did you have any help as you were going through boot camp? Were you writing letters to home or something?
Letters home, it was mandatory. You had to write the first night you got there. You had to write on one sentence. I'm here. I'm all right. Here's my address, and ship it back, and that was it. And then after the second week, then you had to write home every night. Well, once a week, you had to show your drill instructors that you wrote a letter home, letting everybody know that you was okay.
When you received letters back from your family?
I received a couple. My mom, she wrote me back a couple times. Some friends wrote me back, pretty much. Not too many. I didn't really want any letters coming back. They kind of dogged me for that, so I didn't want any letters coming back.
Alright, so do you remember after boot camp, what were your first days were like?
After basic, I went home on 10 days leave, and went back to my old high school and talked to some of the teachers and things I met, and went on some recruiting missions with my recruiter. And then my first experience was reporting to Camp Lejeune. I was in field artillery, so it was like, okay, I'm here now. I'm no longer in basic training. They're gonna let me be a Marine. So it was pretty much kind of glad you through. I had some people to help me adjust from going from basic to being in the Marine Corps.
What were your responsibilities like?
As a private, or as a PFC, I graduated out of basic with PFC because I spent 4 years of ROTC. So I graduated as a PFC. At that time, you had no responsibilities. You're in training stage. You do what you're told to do and how to do it. They're teaching you to be a leader and to teaching you to have those responsibilities. But as a PFC, you really don't have any responsibilities except for be where you're supposed to be when you're told to be there.
Did you ever serve overseas?
Yes, I served overseas. I wasn't physically stationed there. The Marine Corps has what they call sea service deployment duties, whereas I spent a year out at sea on the ships. So I spent 6 months out, came back 3 months, then went out 6 more months. So it's like being stationed on a Navy ship with the Navy. So I did that instead of physically deploying away from my family for a whole year at a time. Going overseas, I just chose to do the sea service deployment.
Where did you go when you were out on this?
Where did I go? I went to the Philippines, went to Australia, Hong Kong, Yokosuka, Japan. We did different ports, did different things. Went to Malaysia, Thailand. So just went different places. It was an experience.
What do you think of all the cultures compared to the American?
Their culture is totally different, and we were always taught when you're in foreign country, you do as the foreigners. You don't bring your American style over there because they're not going to accept it. So you have to do what they do. They're very polite, very helpful. They like you to go shopping. They like you to spend money, so they're not going to do anything to run you away from their stores, anything like that. But it's different. You have to adjust. The thing that they like is you willing to learn their language and their customs. They love that.
Did you have a favorite place that you visited?
Favorite place I visited? I don't know. I guess I had 2 or 3. I don't know. All of them good. At that time, I was a party goer, so Australia and the Philippines was 2 best places that I felt like any service member could be. If you're a party person, that's the place to be. But the Philippines is no longer in existence, so that's out.
And how long were you in the Marine Corps?
12 years, 6 months.
Wow. So what was it like when you got out?
Lonely. I didn't want to get out. At the time, the government was doing budget cuts, and the Marine Corps felt like I was not going to make staff sergeant, and I had already reached my limitation as a sergeant. I was a sergeant a long time. I was in one of those career fields that nobody ever got out of, so promotions was tight. So they asked me to, take a severance pay and discharge me. But the Marine Corps is such a tight unit, tight-knit unit. It's a family. So when you leave that family, you're lonely. It's a weird feeling. I woke up the next morning like, I have nowhere to go.
So what did you do afterwards?
I started looking for a job. I was on terminal leave, so I had 6 months to find a job. So I started looking for jobs and still being paid, and enrolled in school, in college. Started going to school, and I landed a job and started from there.
So did your GI Bill cover your schooling?
Yes, my Montgomery GI Bill covered my tuition for school, and I didn't have to take out any loans or anything at that time.
So when was it from the time that you left the Marine Corps when you joined the Army?
Yes, it was about 6 months after I got out of the Marine Corps. I went to the Army Reserve National Guard. It was totally different. It's a big transition going from this is how you do it, we're not going to babysit you, to no, we're going to hold your hand. There's a big difference.
Did you have to go through boot camp again?
No, I did not. I did not have to go through boot camp.
And what was life like once you actually joined the reserves?
It's different. It's different. I felt, it was different. I felt that being in the Marine Corps, where they teach you responsibilities and they teach you to do things on your own, they teach you to make decisions, to go into, you don't do anything without us knowing about it, was a hard transition for me. Being an NCO, and NCOs make decisions in the Marine Corps, and you stand by those decisions. I felt like in the National Guard, you wasn't allowed to do that. You had to go through up the chain before you made a decision to do anything. And that was pretty difficult for me to adjust to. So
what was your, did you have a job when you were in the
Yeah, I was still in the infantry. I got out the Marine Corps as a postal worker, but every Marine's background is 0311, which is infantry. And I went into the Army Reserve, National Guard, as an infantryman or Bravo 11, which is a Bradley gunner. And I worked on the Bradley, served on the Bradleys for 9 years.
And what was that like?
It was fun. It was fun. At that time, if you like shooting things and, blowing things up, yes, it was fun.
So what would you say was your most memorable experience from that?
In the military, my most memorable experience. Wow. I have a lot of good ones, but the one I remember the most was being in the Marine Corps and watching my sergeant major handle, teaching us how to be NCOs. That was my most memorable experience. He was a good person. He worked with the NCOs. He always said when he retired, he's looking for somebody, one of us, to take his place. So he always worked with us.
From going to the Marine Corps, then going to the Army, how long were you in the Army for before you left?
I was in the Army for 9 years.
9 years. And why do you think that you left that?
Man, yeah, I think it was, I got frustrated. I got frustrated because I think that I gave it 100%. And when 911 happened, we deployed to Fort Jackson to help pull security at Fort Jackson. And I felt like I didn't get my just due in promotions. Even though I was in line to be promoted, I kept getting passed over. And it seemed like nobody wanted to step up and take care of the thing that was holding me back from being promoted, which was just a simple piece of paper. And so when we came back from deployment, I just made up my mind that I was not going to stay anymore. I was staying out. So I did.
So what did you do when you got out?
I had already made arrangements to join the Air Force Reserve. I did not want to quit. I loved being in the military. I liked it. And I did not want to stop being in the military. I did not want to stop serving, so I joined the Air Force Reserves.
So how far after when you left the Army did you join the?
About 35 days.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. It was pretty fast.
Once again, you probably didn't have to go through boot camp again.
Nope, did not have to.
No.
Did not have to go through basic again.
How did that feel, just kind of going from branch to branch?
It was adjustment. It was adjustment because once again I went from being an NCO making decisions to being micromanaged to being back in NCO again. You know, the Air Force really teaches you, tells you this is where we don't babysit you. This is what you're gonna do. You know where to be. You be there. You make the decisions, and if the decision's wrong, you stand by the consequence. And that really helps me out a lot because I don't feel like I need to be babysat. When you give me a task to do, just tell me what to do and let me go do it. That's how I am. Don't babysit me. Don't micromanage me.
What did you do in the Air Force?
I was a civil engineer. And I built buildings. So part of the Red Horse Squadron, which is a rapid deployment squadron. So whenever something happens and barracks or tent cities need to be put up or airports need to be built, that's what I did. I went in, cleared the land, built a base, and left. That's what we do.
Do you think you have your favorite time when you were in there?
Yeah, and I was in the desert. I learned a lot in the desert. We deployed to the desert, and we built a tent city there, so the troops would come in there, have a place to stay when they got there, and helping, just building things. I love working with my hands. I like seeing nothing, and then when you leave, there's something. You get to see your finished work. A lot of people in jobs don't get to see their finished work. In the Silver Engineer Red Horse Squadron, you get to see your finished product. So,
what do you think you learned from the Air Force that you couldn't have learned in the Marines or the Army?
I learned from the Air Force that I can be and do anything that I need to do. They really helped me out a lot. They taught me a lot. They're college or education oriented branch of the military, and they really push you going to college. They really push your education. And they did not stop me from going to college. They encouraged me to go to college, which was great. And no matter where I deployed, the college was there, so it was great.
So where did you deploy to?
I deployed to I deployed to the Middle East, to Adafa, the Middle East.
Where's that exactly?
At United Arab Emirates. I was in the United Arab Emirates. I was in support mode.
What was that like?
Hot. It was hot. We averaged about 117, 120 degrees every day. And then when it got down to like 90 degrees, 80 degrees, it felt like it was cold. It felt like it was winter. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We worked hard. We worked long hour days. But it was great. My job over there was to take care of the runways and provide support for anything, crane operations, buildings, setting up tents, maintenance, anything that needed to be done, that's what we did.
So what would you say was the main food difference? Not only between the branches, but like also between, say, the places you deployed to?
In the desert, I got to eat I had to experience some Middle Eastern foods, which was good. But if you're talking American foods and the military, the difference, I would say, I say the Marine Corps takes care of you when it comes to eating. The Air Force definitely takes care of you when it comes to eating. Army they do, but the other two branches haven't been.
Throughout your time in the military, did you keep in contact with your family?
Yes, I did. I let them know where I was going, how things were going. You have no choice but to keep in contact with them. That's basically your support back home. You don't want to cut off that lifeline. Military becomes your family, but then you still have your blood family back home. So if the military tells you have to leave, you don't want to come back home and your family say, well, you never kept in contact with us. So you want to keep in contact with your family. You want to let them know that you're doing okay, and go home every chance you get and spend time with your mom and your parents and things of that nature.
How often did you hear from them?
I had a set schedule for me when I was on active duty. I went home in March and October every year. I would save up my leave time, and I'd take 30 days in March and take 30 days in October. So I went home twice a year and spent with my family and stay home.
Did you ever receive letters from them?
Yes, you receive letters from them, you receive postcards, you receive pictures. If I wasn't able to come home for a family reunion or a birthday celebration or graduation, they always took pictures and sent them to me. So that was a big motivation and morale support.
What did it feel like when you were able to open those letters and read what was going on?
It felt good. It let me know that they missed me. Let me know that they cared. Some people don't get that. And sometimes it make you want homesick. They say, I want to go back home. You see your family having a good time. And, you working. And you say, I just want to go back home. And, you signed up. It's your job. So
did you have inspiration that you looked up to, or something that inspired you that helped you see the military?
When I was in the military, who I looked up to? Yeah, I had like I said, I had a sergeant major in the Marine Corps who I looked up to. He was very good. He understood where all of his NCOs were coming from. He let us know that he was there at one time. He didn't make himself above everybody else. He was easy to talk to. You can go and sit down and talk to him about anything. Gave you good guidance. And then there was a chief in the Air Force that I worked for. Same way, you can go in and talk to him. Gave you good guidance. Open door policy. Never shot you down about anything. So and it makes you want to do those things. So it makes you want to be in the spot that area.
Did you have anybody in the Army that you looked up to?
Did I have anybody where? In the Army that I looked up to?
In the Army.
Not really. Not really.
Just kind of motivated yourself.
Yeah, I had to motivate myself. It was hard going to drill every weekend in the Army. It really was. It was hard. I really didn't have anybody to look up to.
Did you have an item that you kept with you throughout your whole military experience?
Yeah, I have coins from the Air Force. Every time you did a good job, every time you meet somebody important higher up, they always have these little coins they give you. And I have a whole bunch of coins. Places I've been, and jobs that I've done, and they come and they congratulate me and give me a coin. In the Marine Corps, I still have my dress blue uniform that I keep and I look at.
Throughout your military career, did you ever have to make big sacrifices?
Yes. The military is a big sacrifice. Mm-hmm. It's a big sacrifice. You make sacrifices all day. Sacrifices if you want to be home, but you got a mission that has to go, and you got to go to that mission and not go home. Your family's calling saying, well, we got this to do, and you're saying, well, I got to go do this training. So you make sacrifices all the time. The military is a big sacrifice. You give up your life for the military in support of your country.
Did you ever regret joining?
No, I never regretted training. I never regretted it. I loved it. If I could still be in today, I would still be there.
So, military can't all be the hard stuff. Did you ever pull pranks on anybody in
Yeah, you do that all the time. You do it all the time. As I said, the Marine Corps is a tight-knit unit. They're very close, band of brothers, and you know, you pull pranks on each other in the fields when you're out in the field sleeping in the woods or whatever. You do pranks. There's not many pranks you can do in garrison or on base, but when you're out in the field doing training, there's a whole lot of pranks that can get pulled. So it was funny. And you want to know what kind of pranks to pull, right? Yeah. We used to work. We worked with a major, and he was a good person to work for in the Marine Corps. A great person. And once he found out I was afraid of snakes, that was one of the pranks that he pulled on me. Was he went out into the woods, you know, and he came back and he found a little snake that he killed. And he took the snake and placed it in my sleeping bag while I was out, and I didn't know it. So, you know, we came back from training and we were gonna sit down and eat lunch, and all of a sudden, you know, he says, "Okay, everybody go to bed. You know, we got to get up early in the morning." And lo and behold, I opened up my sleeping bag, and there was a snake in it. And you know, the sleeping bag went one way, I went the other way, and then everybody's laughing, and he's sitting on it, he's sitting back laughing. You know, needless to say, I didn't sleep in that sleeping bag that night.
Did you pull pranks on anybody else then?
Yeah, we pull pranks. We tie somebody's sleeping bag. You know, they're in it sleeping, and we're taking it and tie it, and they can't get out of it. So, we pull pranks. We do different things. We took one person and tied him to a tree. You know, hose them down. We do just different things.
Do you still keep up relationships or keep up in touch with people who are in the military?
Yes, I have a friend that was stationed in Hawaii with me. I talk to him quite often on Facebook. I have friends in the Air Force that's still stationed here on the Air Force Base that I see quite frequently when they're in town doing their drills, that I still talk to. Whenever they're having something, they'll let me know they're having it, and I'll go visit. We still do it.
Okay. And how long were you in the Air Force?
I was in the Air Force 12 years.
12 years. And what exactly did you do in there then? What did you do in the Air Force?
I was a civil engineer, construction work. Construction.
So what was it like the day you got out of that?
It was funny. It was weird because in the Marine Corps, before they dismiss you for the day to go home, you have formation. And they tell you what you got to do before you go home. In the Army, before you go home, they have formation. They tell you what you got to do to go home. In the Air Force, it was totally different. I'm sitting there in the shop, and everybody gets up and walk out the door, and I look up at the clock, and it's like 2 minutes to 4. And I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting, you know, waiting for them to come back in and say, "Hey, you're going to have formation." This is my first weekend actually in the Air Force. And the master sergeant comes back in and says, "What are you sitting there for?" I said, "Waiting on formation." He says, "Formation? There's no formation in the Air Force, sir. You had that formation in the morning. Afternoons, you just go sign out and go home." It's total shock to me. You know, I'm like, okay. At 4 o'clock, I just go over there and I sign my paperwork and go home. Yeah, that's what you do. And, you know, if we need you, we'll let you know. So it was total shock. It was totally different. That was my first weekend, first experience in the Air Force. And they told me, "We treat you like you're humans. When you have a meeting in the morning, if the commander wants to see you, then he'll talk to everybody at one time. That'll be formation, but that'll hardly ever happen. 90% of the time, people you talk to is going to be your OIC or your chief. So you come in the morning, you sign in, you go to work, go home. It's sort of like having a civilian job. You report to work in the morning, sign in, get paid, sign out, go home. That's what it was.
So when you left the Air Force, did you ever have an urge to join the Navy?
No. Because I was in the Marine Corps, so I spent time out on Navy ships, so I knew what it was like to be in the Navy. I'd have no choice. No, I did not have an urge to join the Navy.
What did you do when you left the Air Force?
Working. Yeah, I went back to school full time. Just working.
What did you go to school for?
I have a bachelor's in liberal arts studies.
Okay. So how long was it when you left the Air Force when you started teaching?
I was always teaching. I was in Air Force Reserves, so I always worked at the school system and teaching. teaching leadership, military science to the students. So it wasn't a big transition from that part. The thing is missed going to reserves on weekends and doing deployments and things like that. Those are things that get missed.
So how did you end up getting a job here at Military Minded?
I've been working here at Military Minded for about 16 years now. And I got this job because I was working for a delivery company and I had to make a delivery here. And I met the first commandant of the school. I met him, and he said that I asked him if there was any vacancies here. And he said that there may be some coming available. If so, he'll let me know. And he took my name and number, phone number, and everything. And about 5 months after that, he called me and said, "Hey, I got a vacancy. If you want it, come down and fill out the paperwork." I did. They sent it in, and about a month later, he called me and said, "Hey, got a job for you if you want it." Sure, take it. I took it and I've been working here ever since.
So for you, it wasn't that hard leaving the military and coming into civilian life because you never really left the military?
Was it hard? As I said, I miss the military. I miss the aspects of the military. It was the only transition, like I said, that was hard was not having your compadres around that you're used to doing everything with. You know, now you dedicated to your family, so that's the only hard part of transition you have. Is, you know, you don't have that military to run to anymore.
So what, summing everything that you've learned over everything, what would be like some advice that you would give other people?
Just joining the military, or
just about life in general and how you looked at it?
You know, I look at the fact that if I hadn't joined the military, I wouldn't have learned the things that I've learned. The military makes you a roundabout person. They help you make decisions. They teach you responsibilities. They teach you to not put the blame on someone else, but accept what you've done wrong and correct it. The advice I gives kids when they come to me and ask me about being in the military, I always ask them, what do you want to do? You know, a lot of them come and say, well, I want to do this. Well, you know, why don't you look at military as an aspect of it? They ask me, and because I spent time in 3 different branches, I can give them a little bit of advice, but I tell them to leave it up to the experts, which is recruiters, because things change so much. When I was joining, programs change differently now, but a lot of times students will come up and ask, I want to go in the military. I say, okay, what do you want to do? And they tell me what they want to do, and I say, well, you might want to look at the Air Force for this, or you might want to look at the Marine Corps for this. But I tell them the decision is ultimately up to them. I can't point them into one branch or the other. I tell them, look at what you want to do in the military, and explain to them that you have to get with the recruiter and find out what the test score is for that job that you want. Because if you don't meet that test score, you're not going to get that job. So a lot of it is maturity. The military makes you become mature. They're going to make sure you become mature. They don't have time for individualism. You're going to be a part of a team. The Marine Corps is a team. And if you're not a part of that team, then you're not going to be a part of it.
So is there anything else that you would like to add that I haven't asked about?
Yeah, I would recommend that most students, when they graduate, they join the military. I think that it'd be a great experience for them, whether they do 4 years, whether they do 6 years, whether they make it a career. It's going to help. It's going to help. It's going to help you mature. It's going to make you a better man, a better woman. You learn that independency. You won't be dependent upon anybody or anything else. I enjoyed my time in the military. If they would let me out of retirement to come back in the military, I would, in a heartbeat, no questions asked. There'd be no questions asked. I would sign up in a heartbeat to go back in. So it's going to be what you make of it. Just like you do anything else, it's going to be what you make. You want to be successful, you're going to be successful. You don't want to be successful, you're not going to be successful. But I tell anybody, military is really hard.
Well, that's about it. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.